the saying that you have that I think is really great for helping people kind of identify like what they want to take on, what they want to bite off and chew, is you talk about raising a goldfish versus raising a dog versus raising a horse versus raising a grizzly bear. And you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So I would love to hear you unpack that a little bit and like what that's meant for you.
Yeah, so actually the analogy kind of was born in a conversation with our daughter, Ella, and, she's 15 and a couple years ago, it's fun watching her kind of size up her life and try to figure out what she wants to do. So when, she's kind of naturally ambitious. When she was little, she's like, I'm going to be the president of the United States. I'm going to be the first ever president. Yeah. And she's always had some sort of ambition that, whatever she thinks is great. So she watched the Shark Tank when she was like, 7 years old, 8 years old. And she'd
pitch us on stuff.
Yeah, she'd pitch us on ideas and, maybe I want to start my own business. Maybe I want to do this. So what I've wanted to do, I don't feel any need to control her life or push her toward anything. I just kind of want to be there as a guide to kind of ask her questions and help her count the cost of what she's doing. And so I came up with this analogy that I've used for myself. I've used a lot of people since then, but that's kind of where it started. So I talked about like, okay, if you liken your life to like having a pet, right, and taking on a certain pet. So if you have a goldfish life, right, that would be like pretty manageable. Goldfish, you can kind of put the food in. You can actually leave for a couple days, come back, all good, change the water, whatever. I'm not snuggling with it. Not necessarily lots of affection. You don't see like a huge emotional connection most of the time to a goldfish, but fairly easy to manage. Pretty much everyone's had a goldfish at some point in their life. Mm-hmm. Next, you have a dog life. A dog life would be lots of people have dogs. Depending on the size of the dog you have, what does it take to take care of that dog? What does it take to feed the dog? When you go out of town, you got to have a dog sitter. Mm-hmm. You're taking the dog with you or whatever. It's more of a higher maintenance animal, but a lot of people have them, so you can learn how to do that fairly easily. Mm-hmm. You just got to make sure you know what you're taking on. Does this dog shed or not shed? And make a good decision what dog you want to have. The next level of life is a horse life, right? So not a lot of people have horses. I mean, there are people with horses. Mm-hmm. You got to, actually, it's pretty expensive, like a lot of work to take care of a horse. It's a big animal, a lot to clean up after, a lot to feed, a lot for an enclosure, for it to be able to, you got to buy some land. It's got to be able to move around and run and, all that kind of stuff. And so it's expensive. It's a lot to take on, but, you can kind of know how to do it. Mm-hmm. People can tell you how to do it. And the fourth kind of life is a grizzly bear life, right? You're like, hey, I want a bear. Like, I want a pet bear. Okay, well, how do you do that? I don't know, man. There's not a lot of people with bears. Like, a few. A lot of people will go, why in the world would you ever want a bear? Like, that's crazy. Like, why would you want a bear? I don't know. I want a bear. Like, I want a bear. So you got to look at your life and go, do I want this super manageable life? Which, by the way, some people, I don't shame people for that. There are some people that go, I know myself well enough to know I like to have my ducks in a row. This is what I feel is for me to do, and I'm going to have a goldfish. I know people like that, good people. That's fine. That's fine. You need to know that, though. Mm-hmm. Be clear about it, and don't be jealous of the person with the horse. This is just my life. Do you want to have a dog life? That's fine as well. A lot of people have those lives, and that may be the right thing for you to do. And you know what you're taking on and which dog you're going to take on. Do you want a horse life? Okay. Better know what that costs. You better know what that takes. Or the bear life, which means you might get mauled, okay? You got to figure out, how do you do a bear enclosure? That's probably not on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Like, by the way, some people are going to think you're crazy. They're going to go, why would you want a bear? Mm-hmm. You're probably going to have to hang out with some other bear owners. Yeah. Because they have similar scars to you, and they will be able to give you tips as you go on what we're learning about how to manage a bear. And so just know what you're taking on and why you're taking on. Why do I want to take on a bear life? And so when you look at, again, but not to get all switching back and forth on analogies, but we talked about climbing Everest. Some people feel provoked. They have a deep desire, a drive. I want to get to the highest place in the world, literally.
Yeah.
I want to climb Everest. And some people go, I want to raise a bear. I think you need to go deep in your motivation. Why? What is motivating me to do that? Is this something that is part of my God-given wiring? It's part of something I feel like is part of a greater good type purpose. It's something I just want to take on. I want that type of life. I'll take the scars that come with it. I'll pay the price it takes to come with it. I will do the necessary obsession to do it. And I'm taking it on with my eyes wide open. Or am I doing this for some other reason, trying to validate myself? Am I doing it for some other reason? Maybe even foolishly going, yeah, dude, I want to be a bear guy. And next thing you know, you got a bear and you don't want a bear.
Yeah.
So now you're releasing it into Zanesville, and see what happens, right? Too soon. But all that to say, now you've taken on more than what you know. I think you got to count the cost of Everest. You got to count the cost of a bear life. You got to look yourself in the mirror. You got to do some introspection, and prayer. Okay, God, what do you have for me? And to make those decisions wisely. And I think, again, God calls different people to different things. He's wired different people for different things. But that's kind of what I use with her. So with Ella, our daughter, what I was really trying to do is help her count that cost. Help her really think it out instead of just sort of in an immature fashion going, oh, I want a bear, or oh, I want to go to Everest. Do you? Mm-hmm. Do you know what that costs to do that? Do you know how much work that is? Do you know what the risk that takes? Do you know what you'll have to say no to?
Right.
In order to say yes to that?
It's really important to start asking that question early. I'll tell you a kind of a little bit of an aside that is pertinent to this. Something that I've been interested in lately that's caught my attention is the whole kind of traditional wife thing that's like a big thing on social media, right? And it's the cooking and the homemaking and the whatever. And you will see just thousands, sometimes even millions of women that are like, gosh, this is the life I crave. I wish I had that. I whatever. And then other people far on the other side of it that have vitriol towards it, or, and then some people in between like, cool, good for you. It's not for me. And it's fascinating to me. And I saw something the other day on one of these accounts. I came across it, and someone I know who is a very, very, very successful person in their field. So she's a professional, has a amazing career, a business she started from nothing, and has become a real name for herself in her field, had commented on this like home cooking video. Gosh, this is the life I wish I had. And I thought, that's fascinating, because she has like at least a horse life, if not a grizzly bear. And to anyone outside of this, she's really trained her grizzly and has it by the tail. And like, this is, has everything that people in her field would aspire to. And she's saying she would rather have that.
I wonder what was behind that statement, because I would say, it's funny, I have gone to you before, and we've, like, when I was in a season of like, I'm tired of responsibility, I am fatigued. Okay. And so in those times, I'm like, hey, I just want to get a Winnebago, throw my phone in a lake.
That's true.
And go off the grid and disappear. Yeah. I just want to live the simple life. I want to go live off the land. I want to go build a log cabin and go become a hermit. And you're like, that would last a month.
Yes.
Maybe less. True. And then you'd be right back to making chaos. You'd be right back in the action. You just want a break, my dude. Yeah. And so I wonder if your friend truly is living outside of her own skin and going like, all right, for whatever reason, I felt pressure to, raise a bear, but really what I really want is a golden retriever.
Right.
Or if it's like when you're scratched up by the bear and you're tired of taking care of the bear, if a golden retriever seems like a much better choice. But if you got a golden retriever,
You'd be bored out of your
you'd be
gourd
going
with
and buying a bear in a month. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, so is it a matter of misplaced purpose, or is it a matter of you need better rhythms and breaks, and
Yeah.
and you need a little break from a bear? You need to make some more bear, trainer friends where you guys can give each other a break and figure that part out.
Yeah.